We are back on Fresh Waves. We are going into hour number 2 on Whistle FM, and we are having our new guest, Cheryl. And I'm your host, Bren Masson, and Cheryl is the lucky owner of Casa Mismac. Well, I guess it's not lucky. We can't say, like, lucky. You put a lot of time and effort and thought and planning and work into finding Casa Mismac.
I'm lucky in that I've found that that valuable lesson of anybody who wants, they have these dreams of retiring somewhere, and then they go, oh, look, and it's only like $100,000 and we could retire here and spend $500 a month. And, well, if you want to see how fast time and money can go, buy a place in Costa Rica and watch it just flow through your fingers like water. None of it sticks.
However, having said that, it is a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place, and I consider myself incredibly lucky.
Or fortunate. Right? Luck means that, I guess the stars did align, didn't they?
They did.
They did.
It's, there's magic in that Costa Rica.
Yes, and you were there many times before you finally bought. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing by any means.
No.
And you tell us the story of how you found it, because it is just a great story.
Okay. So, I knew I wanted to move there. And I had taken a weekend away from where I was staying, and I was driving around, and I was coming out of San Jose. I'd stayed with a friend for the night, and had always seen the sign, Ciudad Colón. I went, it's intriguing. So I took that exit, and I drove up to Ciudad Colón and kind of went, okay. And kept going up the road, and it kept getting more and more and more beautiful. And I got to Pura, or we call it Pura, but it's actually Santiago de Pura. And there's this old church that's run down. Yes, it was destroyed by a whole bunch of earthquakes, and it's just beautiful. And the whole little town is beautiful. Hang on a second.
A church destroyed by a whole bunch of earthquakes, and it's beautiful.
It's
beautiful in its destruction?
Not structurally sound.
Oh, yes, okay. But it's still a beautiful building.
Yes. Yes. So you cannot get into it or anything. And then, so I was going to go down one road, and there are police there going, no, road closed. There's no getting through it. When the roads are closed there, they're not, you go around the little part that's closed. It means the road does not exist at some point. So take this other road. Okay, so I'm taking that, and I'm just looking, how beautiful. And I actually stopped the car at one point, got out, took a little picture with my iPhone, and went, okay, now if I could live there, I'd be happy. And about a year later, meanwhile my phone crashed, so I lost all those pictures. So a year later, we were putting an offer on a place. I knew that general area and knew I wanted to live there now. Put an offer on a place. I was in the airport waiting to come home, still not knowing if they were accepting my offer or not. And my memories on Facebook came up. And there's the picture of the most beautiful place in the world. And I look and I go, oh, what? Wait a second. And I zoom in, and it's a unique landmark in that specific area where there's these 2 cell towers.
Right.
Aligned. And I had pointed out the property that I wanted to live on, and that was the property that I was waiting for my offer to be accepted or rejected from. So,
wow.
Yeah. Without knowing about the property where I said, if I could live there, I'd be happy. And I am happy. For the most part. Everybody's got their bad days and their good days. And you can be happy or depressed or sad or wherever you are. So you might as well just be happy on a mountaintop with a 270-degree view of Costa Rica.
Yeah. I think that's lovely. You can actually see the ocean. That's an hour away from where you are. And then you can see the other way. You can see
San
Jose, which is the main town kind of thing in that area.
And
it's
everything
beautiful.
In between.
Everything in between, even the cows.
Yes. There are cows.
There are
many cows.
And there's forest. Beautiful, beautiful forests.
Yes.
And it's lovely. It's lovely. We'll put a picture up on our website so that people can see how lovely it is.
Yes.
Now, you've decided to live there, and in your retirement, your husband will move down. He's still working. And you're good with this. This is going to be your home forever.
I can't say forever, but
From now, forever. Well, you're looking at it right now.
the way I'm looking at it right now, I would not move anywhere else. I love it. It's perfect for me.
Yeah.
I love the house. I love the area. I love the people in the area that I've met, both the Ticos and the Gringos and the Canadians. Yeah. Everybody that I've met has just been fantastic. And every morning for 2 hours, I sit on my deck. I've had a little bit of a harrowing last 6 months or so. And everybody was like, well, you must be a wreck. How do you keep it together? And I said, I meditate every morning for 2 hours. They're like, what? No, I'm not sitting cross-legged, all uncomfortable on something and thinking about my breath. I'm sitting on my deck, having 2 cups of coffee, just being in the midst of this beauty. And that to me is meditation, and that is groundedness, and
being in that moment.
And being in that moment. It's just really, really fantastic.
Well, it kind of brings you back to that nature thing, right? Your brain on nature, and how wonderful nature is to your brain, and how calming and de-stressing it can be. When you look out over your yard, not only are you looking out into the distance, but you are immediately in the yard.
Looking out over
citrus trees and vines and beautiful flowers. And you can almost say, even though they're planted there, they are wildflowers because they grow wild in Costa Rica.
Yes.
So there's nothing that's non-indigenous, and more citrus trees than I've ever seen in my life.
I did not plant the citrus trees. They were there.
And they're
if you
fantastic.
want to know any lemon recipes, I can tell you every single lemon recipe.
And
it
limes.
still doesn't use all the lemons.
And they're not even oranges. There's ones that are
have
orange, but they don't.
Oh, those are the mandarinas.
Yeah, they don't taste.
Mandarina
They are
limes.
so sour. Oh my gosh, if you think a lemon is tart, you've never had anything as tart as this thing.
Yes, and they look like oranges. But I do have oranges. They're just ready at different time of the year.
Okay.
And, yeah, lots and lots of citrus.
Yes. There's all kinds of citrus there that we don't have here.
Yes.
And of course, then there's other fruit that we have not ever heard of and do not import. And so they're very unique, and I would love to tell you what they taste like, but because we don't have anything that's even similar, there's no way to describe it, which would be a good writing exercise. Describe this flavor that you've never had before, that's really delicious, that doesn't exist in your world, and now try and describe this flavor. And the one in particular that I'm thinking of is the snot fruit.
Yes.
And we're going to call it that because that's what I named it after... I tried it because it's this odd consistency, and the French Canadian that we met there who says, oh, you must come and try this beautiful fruit. And when I did, I looked at it at first and thought, there's no way I'm going to put that in my mouth. It was fantastic. I can't, like I said, I have no words to describe it.
Yeah, there's
It's
lots.
sweet. It's flowery. It sort of takes over your whole head. Like your whole inside of your head, your mouth, your nose.
Yeah, what were those candies at one point that you put in your mouth and then they kind of burst a flavor and then the flavor kind of goes away? That's almost the same idea. And there's a lot of fruits out there that do that.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I really enjoyed exploring, and the market was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It's all local gardeners and stuff, and they come and bring their fruits and veggies on Friday nights and Saturdays, and everybody goes to the feria.
They do. I mean, we met more people, both local and expats, there than we did at the expat dinner or anywhere else we went the whole time that I was with you for the 2 weeks when you first moved in. I mean, really, we met everybody. We met young Canadians, old Canadians, Americans, people from Costa Rica that were from other towns that had come to the market or come in to sell their stuff at the market. We even met the guy who didn't get his pass on time and was selling his stuff out of his car trunk.
Oh, yes.
Which was
you get those lined up around the block.
Central American, it was just, it added to the whole flavor of the day. Which brings me to my next point. Here you go. You are going to be or you are running Writers in Residence out of Casa Mismac. And, people are going to be coming to you to write. And part of that, I imagine, is getting the flavor of being somewhere else.
Yes, if people want that. Not everybody wants that. Some people just want to go away and be warm and hole away from everything. So if that's your intention, you can do that. We're not surrounded by noticeable people. It's quite secluded. But if you do want to be part of the culture and find out about the culture, there is that side as well. Things like going to the feria, things like, going to some of these little tiny beach towns that are really not, or beaches that are not where the tourists go.
Okay, let's just clarify one thing before we go further. You mentioned ticos and gringos.
Oh, right.
And I don't want people to think that we are throwing racial slurs around, because we are not.
No, and ticos, people from Costa Rica are very proud to call themselves ticos and ticas. It's not a racial slur whatsoever. It is the way they refer to themselves.
As a Canadian or an American or whatever.
Yes. And the Americans are referred to as gringos, and Canadians are Canadians.
Oh. I kind of like that.
And when people say, gringo, no, Canadiense. Okay.
Canadiense. That sounds so nice. Eh?
Canadiense.
Yeah. Say, eh? Okay, so we're continuing on now.
Yes.
And I just wanted to clear that up so that we didn't get people's backs at a joint or whatever, because they think that we're throwing around racial slurs. We're not. It's not just a definition of who you are, as the definition of being Canadian would be.
Yes.
Okay. So they don't take offense to it at all.
No, not at all. It's not even one of those, well, we call ourselves this, but nobody else can. It's really, that is the word to describe Costa Ricans.
Right. The people who live in Costa Rica.
Yes.
Okay. So someone's going to come to you and they're going to be writing their book. They're doing a Writers in Residence. What does that mean?
It means, in my case, and every place is a little bit different, but in my case, it means you come, we do everything from pick you up from the airport, we provide you breakfast and lunch food, you make your own, provide dinners every night, we go out for dinner as a group once a week, you have no obligations. All that laundry, all that calling people back, all that email, all that everything drops away, and you are given the quiet, the solitude to be able to sit and write and to immerse yourself in this writing. There's not a lot of rules around anything. The only rules, come to dinner, please. Just share dinner and discuss with the other people. If you don't want to talk about your writing, talk about your writing process. Talk about how your day was. Talk about something of interest to anyone, even just yourself. The other kind of rule, and it's even not a hard and fast rule, is that we maintain a quiet environment before noon. So, generally, the last thing you want, you're right in the middle of this big creative flow and people start, oh my God, last night, blah, 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 and you were so funny. No, that kills it. Unless, of course, that's the character you're writing and then you're like trying to get it down real fast. But it's just a quiet place to get away and be with other writers. When you put creative people in a room, and they can even all be working on their own art. Nobody's talking. Nobody is communicating in any way. There is still an energy communication that's happening, and really, really amazing work comes out of that.
Okay, so there's no talking until noon, or just no noisy?
No noisiness. So if you feel the compulsion to talk, sing, dance, whatever, go find a quiet place to do that where you're not bothering other people.
Well, you have those rooms downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who have no idea what this inside joke is we're laughing about, there's a couple of rooms that you have yet to finish, which would be, we called them the dungeon, but it would be more like a basement in someone else's home. But they're all open. I mean, it's a nice, quiet, cool place, and it's all open to the pool and the lawn and all the rest of it. It's not like you're...
Yeah, I use those for bodegas now, for storage rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one for
lawn furniture.
Stuff that goes with the pool and sitting around the pool, and one that goes for, one's the Gamma closet. So that's everything that Gamma will ever need to work on the house. All the paint, some of the tools, all the cheap tools that don't fit in the house, tools that require gas, Then there's the garden bodega, which is a bell, and that's always locked up, and it's all his equipment. Mm-hmm. And so those have been now reassigned. No longer the mystery dungeons, though they're
very practical.
They're very practical. But yes, there are so many. I mean, there's so many decks, there's so many rooms, there's so many places to go. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we're going to be building this next dry season is, so we have these little paths that go all around, and then at some of the intersections or some of the terminuses, we're going to put in little huts. So you can just go and sit there and have a nice little lookout, and you can watch the cows go by, or you can watch the clouds go by, or, whatever else might go by. Toucans, don't sing the song. And
toucans. Toucans.
So
love toucans.
Yes, they are very prevalent out there. Many, many toucans, many, many birds. So yeah, there's going to be these places where you can just go and sit and be and in nature and just right to your heart's content. And of course there's free Wi-Fi, so if you really need the news and stuff, you can still get that kind of stuff. Though I discourage anyone reaching out to the broader world while they're immersed in writing like that. I mean, it's a gift that you're giving yourself to really get away from everything that is always crowding in and taking the place of where you want to create your art from. And to just go away, why not immerse yourself 100% in that? Give yourself that total gift instead of holding yourself back. And still trying to keep up with all those regular day-to-day things that you do while you're away trying to immerse yourself and get yourself into what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. To me, I don't know, go big or go home.
Right. We did have a question from a listener named Shelley, and Shelley asked if she's writing a story about a cold winter day, mm-hmm. why would she ever go to Costa Rica to do that?
Well,
I think you kind of just answered it in your own, in the way that you were just speaking, is that going to Costa Rica is not necessarily about being a tourist in that country and seeing as much of the country as you possibly can, although you could add that into your experience. Mm-hmm. But being at a writer's retreat, it's the process of just getting away.
Yeah. And when I hear cold winter's day, first of all, I'm thinking the whole story is probably not about this cold winter's day, but I'm hearing setting in that. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing solitude. I'm hearing, let me say what I don't hear. I don't hear a bunch of cars and a bunch of busyness. I hear quiet, solitude, being frozen out personally on the inside, not just on the outside. So there's a whole bunch of things in there that aren't strictly about the weather. Or you could come and visit in the rainy season and forget your sweaters and your long pants. And then, trust me, you will feel like you're in a cold winter day because it's 17 degrees. There is fog coming through the living room because I've left the doors open because it's the same temperature in and out. And if you don't have your sweater or your long pants or your socks, you're going to freeze and you're going to feel like you're in that cold winter day. But
I also found that even in the dry season when we were there in February, that in the evening it got cold. Not cold, but chilly. Yes. I mean, we never had a problem sleeping at night until we went down to Dominical, which was a whole different story.
Yeah.
It's like humid beach weather. You're in the mountains.
Yeah. This is, I mean, it gets up in the dry season, which is, December to May. It'll get up to 35 degrees.
It melted the case of my iPad, just saying.
Yes, you left it in the sun.
I didn't. It was in the shade when we left on our walk. It was in the sun when we got back.
The sun moves. When you're not in the sun, then it feels like about 25. And then at night, it goes down to about maybe 20, 22. And then in the rainy season, it's pretty much a consistent 18 to 22 all day and all night. Mm-hmm. We're not talking, beach vacation, swelter, can't walk 5 feet. And I really weighed that heavily when I decided where to buy because, I mean, truthfully, a lot of people would come down and want to be on the beach, want to be able to walk to the water. And for me, I get really lazy when it gets that hot. I love the heat, but I get really lazy. Mm-hmm. And I sleep a lot. And I lived near the beach, and I can tell you I slept a lot. So for me, it wasn't conducive to getting a lot done and being productive. I need a bit more of a cooler climate to do that. So I purposely said, okay, I'm not on vacation for my life. I am, in a place where I want to accomplish X. And to best do that is the view, this being surrounded by nature, and the bit of a cooler temperature.
Well, I can honestly say when we were driving up from Dominical, the air got fresher and fresher and fresher and less humid the higher we climbed.
Yes.
And by the time we got back to your place, it was breathing a sigh of relief. It was just that, I mean, we were still up in the 30s during the day, mm-hmm. and at night, 17, 18, which feels cool because you've been hot all day long. So for me, that's my perfect kind of weather. Mm-hmm. I really like that, where it's nice and warm during the day and cooler at night. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't say enough good things about it. On that note, we're going to take our first little break here. You're listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. We're talking with Cheryl MacLean, and we're talking about Costa Rica Pura Vida. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.